So, good after. How are you?
Well, good afternoon, David. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. I wanted to do this Zoom, right, so we can talk about your campaign and be able to post it for all of my followers to see. I think what's really important when we're running off that people really get a chance to get to know us and so I know a lot of work and meeting with a lot of people last number of months. Been out in the meetings, you've been canvassing neighborhoods, and I know it's a countywide race. So it'll be over 1 million people voting for this race. It's kind of hard to get to everybody. So thought that this would be a good opportunity to help increase your reach. And so just had a few questions that I think would be great if people heard, knew the answers to, or kind of heard you kind of speak about, and want to kind of go through, make this relatively kind of a quick conversation, or really make this an opportunity for at least all of my Facebook friends to be able to view this at any time. And maybe we can put this on your website or put this on YouTube.
All right.
And, make sure that people really get a chance to get to know you. And so I'm just kind of jump right into it. Do you want to start off by just kind of telling us a little bit about your background and why you decided to run for judge?
All right. Well, my background is why I decided to run for judge. So this is, I really enjoy being an advocate for people. And I've been a deputy public defender for 16 years. 14 of those years, I was what they call a trial deputy. And that means that you basically, you get your clients, you're working up your cases. You're doing a couple of different things. You're either negotiating plea agreements, or you are going to go all the way to trial. And that's not the thing you see on TV is people always go to trial, but that's not the most that's not the most of the job that we do. Mostly we do plea agreements, but I have done 65 trials to jury verdict. Wow. Yeah. So, and that's quite a bit. And it's because, I look at the case and I make a decision and a determination about what's best for the client. I work with the client and we talk about what's best for you. Is it, are we going to try to get that acquittal? And that's what we usually go for. And about, 70% of those, 60 to 70% of those, we do get some acquittals, but we also get what's sometimes more important, reductions in the charge and therefore the sentencing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that because that's what guided me to become, to try to become a candidate, basically. I grew up in Chicago, so this is my adopted home. I have been here for 26 years and I was working as a flight attendant before I went to law school. And I was kind of bumped to go to law school because I was representing the flight attendants with the Association of Flight Attendants. And they have endorsed me as well. The Association of Flight Attendants, Communication Workers of America, it's a union and it has endorsed me. It's a pretty big one across the nation. And we would basically fight for their jobs, I was a grievance chair all the way up to vice president. And during 9/11, that's when we really had to start dealing with some safety concerns.
So really quick, you're saying you represented a large group of flight attendants in negotiating with the union or on behalf of the union. Is that correct?
Yes, on behalf of the union with the United Airlines is who I was with, but yes, so with the airline. So that's, and that kind of got me into advocating for people, dealing with people, dealing with the flight attendants, people who are working, people who have families, and we're at that time concerned about their safety and keeping their jobs because they were, really the industry was being slashed. So that was tough, right? So during that time, I had a baby, and she's now a college graduate. And I decided that I would go back to school. I bite that bullet and go back to school and become an attorney.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the first job I got, and the only job I've had as an attorney, is as a public defender. And it's also representing people and representing people who have made bad decisions, people who are in the wrong place, people who, basically have grown up with issues, those who have really grown up with issues constantly throughout their lives. I always say, those of us who have had the privilege of getting an education and who've had the privilege of being able to, just eat every day and, have parents who are concerned about us, that there's an alternate world going on out there where people's, don't have that. They don't eat regularly. They don't, they're growing up. They don't have parents who care. The school system pushes them through, and many of them get on that train to prison. So, that's those are the people that I represent, and some do have families who are concerned about them, and I represent them as well. So, I mean, because I try to consider everything, and when I'm dealing with my clients, I have to consider all sides of the issue, and I have to, just pay careful attention to the root cause. And that's what public defenders do. We don't represent the government. We represent people, just regular people who are struggling.
Was that
And
motivated to run for judge? Do you feel like you can make you can help people in a better way or a different type of way?
I absolutely, and I think historically, it's the prosecutors who go and get on the bench, or people who work for big law firms, and they represent corporations, of course. So, historically, it's not the people who represent the people, little people, average everyday people. And I saw that in my work, and I didn't understand why, because I felt that I was just as, I mean, it's not egotistical to say I was just as qualified as the people who I saw starting to get on the bench, who were my counterparts and colleagues. And some of them are very good at what they do, but they were prosecutors. And so they look at it from that perspective. So that's why this kind of representation really matters on the bench, that we kind of balance the bench out, that we allow ourselves to have a different perspective because of how I work, because I'm looking at the root cause, because I'm doing the heavy lifting. I'm getting this, say fully, at least a third, sometimes half my clients are mentally ill. And so I'm looking for, people who, I'm looking for the psychologists, I'm looking for the programs. I am trying to put them into the diversion programs. A large portion of my clients will be homeless when they get out of jail and prison, or they won't be able to go back to their homes because the landlord won't accept that if they take a plea agreement.
Wow.
People lose their kids. I've recently, my last trials, I had 5 trials. I'd say all of them were family based. And by that, I mean, one of them was a burglary. It was a family that was homeless. And I mean, like a family, the mother, the father, and 7 kids. And they were accused of breaking into this. Basically, it's an empty home, as there are so many that are being foreclosed. And so they were accused of doing that. So that, and that's an issue. That's a problem for them. We should have been able to do something more than put him on probation. He didn't have to go to jail. I didn't like that, but there should have been some more options for him and his family. Another one was a young woman who had been abused by her partner, and I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying, wow.
Yeah. She had been abused by her partner, and she finally, lost it one day and threw the bottle of bleach at him, and the cap was off a little bit and it splashed on him. So that was a felony because that's caustic chemical.
Wow.
We won that trial, and she did get her children back. The children went to him. So, people, lots of things are going on that are family oriented. And, it depends on who who files the charges of the prosecutors and what kinds of charges they choose to file. And they were backing this young man the whole time.
So it's interesting that you bring up that historically a lot of prosecutors have been elected to the bench, and not enough
Mhm.
public defenders. It's interesting. I've actually kind of heard through as I've talked to different attorneys that public defenders make some of the best judges, and so I'm happy that you're running from that perspective. And as we talk about that, I want to ask kind of my next question, like talk a little bit about why it's so important that people pay attention to these judge elections in the first place. And I ask that because I know for myself, when I go get my sample ballot, I'm seeing all these names and I don't know anything about any of these people. And you really get no literature about any of these people. I'm not quite sure who to vote for. And I know some people, when they're faced with kind of a bit of confusion, they just don't vote.
Right. And
And
so we don't want you to do that.
why the judge election specifically that people really show up and vote for?
So all of us are, ballots have dropped. You are voting for your neighborhood judge. You really are. It is a countywide, at large vote. So everybody in the county can cast their vote for me, but I could be put in any courthouse in any area of the county of Los Angeles, which is huge. So Pomona down over to, the ocean, and, Lancaster down to Long Beach. So we're talking about, and so think about it. Maybe you will never be involved in the criminal court system yourself, but maybe someone will be, someone you care about will be, a neighbor, an uncle, a nephew, a niece. And so these things happen. And then, but also, I bet somebody who got a divorce. I bet somebody who is fighting for child custody, or how much they have to pay or not pay, whatever the case may be.
Everything you just said, I know somebody that's been touched, whether it be for in criminal or child custody, or I know somebody that's a great point. So
And so
yeah,
these are the people who are going to be sitting in your neighborhood, you know, Inglewood or Los Angeles Airport, Courthouse, Van Nuys, or, West Covina. They're going to be saying to you, hey, this is what I'm telling you to do with your life. It could be dependency court, and that's people who adopt, or if, let's say, you're going to foster a child, or but often like grandparents are taking their grandchildren in, so they have to go to court to become their legal guardian and this kind of thing. So
so
sometimes older brothers and sisters take their younger brothers and sisters, and they have to go to court and become that guardian.
I'm just stopping for a second and interject, because one thing that you just said, something that I hadn't thought about, you bring up a great point, that when I'm voting for a judge, I'm not just voting for a judge that might oversee criminal matters.
Mhm.
That I may be voting for the judge that might be overseeing my divorce or child custody case or child support case or all these other type of matters. Like I actually have the ability to, install or choose who those judges are as well.
Landlord tenant, this is about to be big, as they are starting to, that court is backlogged. I mean, it's backlogged throughout the pandemic. So, okay, so we're just running for Los Angeles Superior Court. The Superior Court handles all of these areas and more. It handles, traffic, it handles civil cases, insurance cases, accidents, whatever. So, it handles all of these cases. And that's why I say you really need to think about it as, this is my neighborhood judge. This is the person who's going to be telling me what I and my neighbors and my family can do with our lives. So it's important to pick somebody who has had contact with your community, or a community, somebody's community, in Los Angeles County. And so, and I think that I have done that. That's why, I think public defenders, at least they're dealing with individuals, they're dealing with the people there, and they're dealing with the families who are there. And so that's why it's part of my job. I've also done many things outside of my job, worked with, NAACP, for different committees, etc. I've worked with my sorority for many different committees. I've worked with actually the Los Angeles County Bar, Black Public Defenders Association. So I've worked with, and I mentor people in the office. I believe that's very important, to mentor people and to mentor, and we give scholarships for students, etc. I'm a past president, so I've run the scholarship program, etc. So these are the kinds of things that we do, and that you need to really kind of look at who's really been interacting with people in the community, because it's going to be, I was a long-term apartment dweller, and now I purchased a townhome. So, you got to understand somebody who is a normal person, just a regular person too, because I don't make $1 million. I don't get participation with the big law firms. So, I'm working for the government, and I make government money, and I am able to work hard and save my money and become a homeowner, but it's taken me just as much time as it takes any other person who's out here working.
Make a good point though. Like, it's valuable to elect somebody as judge who can relate to you, right? Who's from the community, that really understands what the experience is like, living in LA and faced with those challenges. I wanted to make sure we kept this kind of short so everybody have an opportunity to kind of to it. And so I want to ask, as we kind of wrap things up, talk a little bit about all the support that you've gotten. I know you've gotten a lot of endorsements as
I have. I have gotten a lot of endorsements. I'm the endorsed candidate for the Los Angeles County Democratic Party in my seat. Thank you. And I've been endorsed by the National Association, the National Women's Political Caucus. I've been endorsed by, as I said, AFA, CWA. I've been endorsed by Unite Here, Local 11. That is a union that has many service people in it, service-oriented people in it. I've also been endorsed by many Democratic clubs. Yes, We Can, Martin Luther King Jr., Culver City, just a lot of them. It's hard to remember all. There are many. They are listed on my website, which I'm sure you'll give me an opportunity to get that out there. But
yeah, share
a lot of people. Assemblyman Isaac Bryan, Assembly person Ash Kalra, Assembly. So and many others locally who are city council people. Mike Bonin is in LA. So yes, I've had quite a few endorsements, and and that's because there's people, I get endorsements from unions and people who represent people. And so I think that's important. I have some endorsements by judges as well. Many of my colleagues will discuss that, but I do have endorsements. The judges that I have endorsements by, they run the alternative courts, the homeless court, the drug court. They're people that I've worked with, and that they are working with these alternative solutions to sentencing. And I think that's important too.
Awesome. So, I mean, just to wrap it up, it sounds like, you have just a world of experience serving people, ton of experience as an attorney, bring a very great and unique experience as a resident of LA County, but also as a public defender, to be able to really provide a different perspective, be empathetic. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
When dealing with people as a judge, and it sounds like you have a tremendous amount of support from a wide variety of sources, from unions to the Democratic Party, to officials. And so it sounds like I already knew that you're the right person for the seat, but it sounds like a lot of people also realize that and have rallied behind you. And so I'm excited to support you myself. I'm glad we had the opportunity to just have this quick conversation that I can let all my my Facebook friends and actually I'm also maybe even see if I can send this video out in my email newsletter to my constituents. And I just want to end by allow you to maybe share your website and any kind of last.
Yeah, I have a website and you should definitely go on. It gives you a little bit more information about who I am and what I'm doing. www.hancock4judge.com. But I'm also running with a slate, and that'll help you a little bit more with some of the other seats. In seat 118, there's Carolyn Jeong Park. In seat 67, there's Elizabeth Lashley Haynes, and in seat 60, Anna Ritano Slotke. So we're kind of running together because we're progressive Democrats who are public defenders and civil rights attorney. And and we are called the Defenders of Justice. I know it sounds very what is it? Marvel Comics. That's what we're doing. We're the Defenders of Justice 2022.com. Spell it all out. The Defenders of Justice 2022.com. And so you can see something about all of us and our speeches and some other things. And you get a treat if you go to mine. You can see me talking to my cousin, Herbie Hancock, who also endorses me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks for taking this time out so we can have this conversation. And I know you have a lot more of these conversations lined up. But yeah, definitely appreciate it. I'm gonna be posting this on my social media and making sure everybody have opportunity kind of to meet you in this fashion.
All right. Thank you, David. Thanks for asking me anything.
You have a good, I'll be in touch.
All right. Bye-bye.